Okay. Now we begin. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning from Jerusalem. Good afternoon for those in Indonesia, and good whatever evening, morning if you're from other than Jerusalem and Indonesia. Now we have a very good opportunity to talk with Mikhail Marx. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
More or less.
More or less. Mikhail Mark from Corpus Coranicum to have a launch from his new digital publications from the Corpus Coranicum. And we will also have the opportunity to listen to Mas Mu'ammar Zayn Qadafy about like how we Indonesian scholars can benefit from the new website, also from the website and also the project as a whole. Um, and and then like we will have the Q&A about anything basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because it's very hot in Indonesia and also a bit hot in Jerusalem.
Yes.
Not as hot as in Indonesia and Europe, but still like it's quite hot for Jerusalemites. So without further ado, I think we can just start. Like Mikhail, you'll have like 20 minutes from now, like to explain the new site, why we have the new site,
Yes.
and what are the new features if there are that we can use in the site. So please.
Right. Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. The website I'm presenting is already online since 2 years, but technically we had a lot of problems during the last year. So only since 5, 6 months this website functions. Yeah. I will show you a little bit for those who perhaps are not that familiar. Um, go back. Go back. Ah, okay. Yeah. So Corpus Coranicum is a project that was founded in 2007 in Berlin, um, together with Angelika Neuwirth and Nikolai Sina. It is a long-term project of the Academies of Science. And at the end of 2024, the Academy decided not to continue it. For whatever reasons, this is a different issue. But so the project as an academy project came to an end. At the same time, the digital publication, the catalog for manuscripts, we will see it, variant readings, the printed editions, and some other features on the site in the publication are used by many people. We can count users. It's between 2,000 and 3,000. There are many young 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 researchers making use of it, especially the manuscript. And also from the side of the publisher, there are many people who still want to publish content on, for instance, on a specific manuscript. So already in the last year, in 2024, we took the initiative and we informed the academy, of course, to take the digital publication out of the academy and to make it sustainable so that it can continue to live. Of course, the website, the URL, corpuscoranicum.de, is still accessible. You can consult it. Yeah, it's so to say an archived website, which is the duty of the academy to keep it online. It is what I sometimes call a frozen website, a frozen publication, because you cannot enter any changes anymore. You cannot update things. So, since 2024, we continued under a new URL on a new server, which is outside of the academy, but it's based on the previous publication. I hope you can hear me well. If not, let me know. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you see here is open science, yeah, right? And this is an important term to which modern research institutions in Europe have subscribed, also the academies, the universities. That means that scientific content is open. Yeah, it's open to be published, to be republished for non-commercial reasons, of course, like ours. So to to put this in a certain frame, we founded an association, which you see here. It's the EV, which is a legal term under German law. In UK law, you could say a charity, and I'm sure there is an equivalent also in Bahasa. It means you have a juridical body who takes care of it. Yeah? So that's where we are. And we had some trouble in 2025, technical bugs to make this new site, the new old site, fully functional. Yeah. We had a very generous contribution from a foundation in Germany, which is called GEFIS, die Gesellschaft, the Society for Funding Islamic Studies, GEFIS, Gesellschaft zum Studium zur Förderung islamischer Studien. It's in Frankfurt. They gave us a small contribution, which helped us to fix bugs. Because when you move to another server, it's not that easy. And actually, as we will see, the website or the publication, I always prefer the term digital publication, is a complex structure. Right. So you can still use Corpus Coranicum DE, which is provided by the Academy, and a lot of data will actually be the same. But updated data, some new functions, some new data, some corrections are provided on the living side, which you see on the right part of the screen. Of course, the digital publication that we provide includes a lot of very different features, and we understood that the audience, in the biggest part of the audience, is interested in the manuscript. This is actually what most of our users are consulting. Another thing, what many students apparently use is the printed edition. But also we have, on the very right side, we have a database on variant reading. There's a database of texts from the word of the Quran. There is the commentary, and there is a concordance. Now, I want to say something about the commentary because it's an element that is a bit different when it comes for this change of URL. As I said in the beginning, the project was founded by three people, Angelika Neuwirth, Nikolai Sina, and myself. But as you can imagine, we had different approaches also to the subject. And my specific focus and interest was on collecting various types of data, for instance, manuscripts, for instance, variant readings, for instance, texts from the word, and to make them accessible. And this was very much what was demanded from us in the framework of a long-term research project, to provide access to the sources. On the other side, Angelika Neuwirth, Dirk Hartwig, in the latest years, in in the last years of the existing academy project, they were working in a commentary. The commentary is formulating an interpretation. I think tafsir would be the wrong name, but it's something like sharh, or it's an interpretation of the data assembled. And there is a certain difference. One approach is to make data accessible, and you do not discuss very much the interpretation. You make it accessible. The other thing is to actually interpret, to provide an interpretation about surah chronology, about relationship to context, the development of the community, and these things. This is very much the framework of Angelika Neuwirth, Dirk Hartwig, and they actually continue this part, what I have heard, in the University of Münster. For us, we wanted to keep the commentary for the moment in the digital publication, but we do not provide updates. So you find updates on all other databases, but not for the commentary. We decided to give access to the commentary as well, because we have some users who are happy to look into the commentary, to watch manuscripts, to see data about variant readings and so on. Yeah. So that means, yes, on the right side, you see the updated, corrected, in progress, work in process of Corpus Coranicum.org. But the commentary section is actually just the same as the one on Corpus Coranicum, because we do not continue to work together anymore. But I think it's useful to have also these features. Now, to sum this up, the new digital publication, it's based on the old digital publication, and it provides the possibility to update, to upload, to enter new data, to correct data. And this is done for the manuscripts, the variant readings, the concordance, in principle also the word of the Quran, so-called intertext, which is not very active at the moment, I have to say. So these features continue. If I still have time, and I look to my left now, if I still have time, I would like to take you a bit to the publication. And of course, when you are doing digital publication, it is never finished, yeah? And many things could be presented much better. At the moment, for the database, the catalog of manuscripts, so-called Manuscripta Coranica catalog, we have only two ways to get access to the data. One is we find the manuscript listed according to collections, or you can search for the manuscripts according to Quranic verses. But of course, you can imagine much more features to get access: the line numbers, the script style, the date, codicological features. This all at the moment is still on hold. I mean, we have to develop these features. Yeah? It's not just about correcting an entry, a typo, new elements in the catalog, but it's also the data itself. Here we have the two modes. Yeah, you see on the left side manuscripts according to collections. This you will find under the URL Corpus Coranicum.org English manuscripts, and on the right side you see it listed by verses. Now, the data here is rather large, and Manuscripta Coranicum at the moment is the only reference catalog in the world for manuscripts. We have more than 100 collections. Yeah, here you see in alphabetic order. There will be soon an update for an Indonesian Quran in a European collection. It's an entry and also an article that I'm doing with, probably you know him, Ali Akbar, yeah, in Jakarta. So recently we have entered here, a colleague of mine, Said Mohammed Naqvi, has entered Pakistani material. So here you get access to about 2,500 of documents from more than 100 collections, and all in all, some 55,000 images. Images that are registered by the Quranic texts they include. So in the second mode of research, you can look for the manuscripts according to a verse. Another thing that that is perhaps useful to know, that you can get access on the old publication and also in the new to the printed edition, the Quran printed in Cairo in 1924, the so-called King Fuad edition. Why? When I started to prepare this digital publication in 2007 and 8, you know, when you organize data, you need a reference because you have to count verses, you have to compare the text. So I, following the ideas of Gotthelf Bergstresser's Theodor Nöldeke, in our audience will know him, he was his pupil, so to say. And Gotthelf Bergstresser wrote a long article full of praise of the King Fuad edition. And then in the time later, until the Second World War, until the 50s, the Quran print of Cairo replaced Flügel's edition. Flügel's edition was the text which was used in Europe. It had a different verse numbering from all known Quran editions today. So actually the Cairo print took over. And I found it important to present in the publication also a digital edition of this Egyptian print, which is no longer easily accessible. In Egypt, it is not used. In your country, you have the Standard edition of the Qurans. You have, if I'm well informed, 3 certain standard edition, but none of them is following Rasim Osmani according to Cairo. You are following Rasim Osmani, as I learned from Ali Akbar, based on the Bombay print. So that means you have the Indian idea of Rasim Osmani following Dani, but also I have seen a couple of updates by the ministry which is publishing this text. Now, so this you can find here.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
5 minutes are left. Yeah, I give just a so I suggest that we move to the living side, which is even more interesting than these PowerPoint. So I just jump here into the oh, now we have to it's okay. So let's perhaps go to home. Yeah. So here we have about the project, some information, printed edition manuscripts. What is important, we have now in the since a month, we have Turkish labels, yeah, for the whole presentation about the project. Yeah. This is a new feature, and but I will go back to the English. Yeah? So as we have seen, we have here manuscripts. For instance, to get an overview, we find, now it takes time, but it will load. The internet connection is not that good. We have actually more than 50,000 manuscripts listed according to these things. I go here to Berlin, just to show you one example. This is perhaps the most ancient Quran in Berlin, where we provide a preliminary transliteration of the text following our system here. One has to say that this is a preliminary transliteration. This manuscript, at the moment, I'm reworking with a Qatari colleague, Abdallah Al-Khatib. What is interesting here, you can find also for all the entries, you can find a catalog entry. In the case of this manuscript, you get also information about carbon dating. So this is the reference catalog. We have also a catalog of variant readings. Now, this is, of course, not the written transmission of the text. This is the scholarly transmission, and we are using tables, and we are using a certain transcription. Personally, I find it useful to have the variant readings in transcription because it allows you to see, at least perhaps I'm no doubt a very Eurocentristic person, and sorry, here's a mistake now. It seems we do not. What is happening here? I wanted to show the variant readings. It doesn't work. What's happening?
Shall you reload it?
I don't know. There is something wrong. The internet connection is not good. Uh-huh. There is, okay. Now, this is not what I wanted to show. I wanted to show the variant readings. Just to give you an example. Hopefully we can reach the data. The internet is slow here. I'm very sorry. I wanted to show you one example, verse 19 of Surah Maryam, where you have an interesting variant reading, li ahaba and li ahaba, third person against first person, who is giving the child to marry. Here we have it, but not the, yeah, here we have it, yeah. Ana rasuli rabbiki, yeah. And here you see the text of the Cairo Quran, and then you can switch to variant readings, and you see here different works listed in chronological order, and you see the liahaba, laki liahaba, always refer to the source. At the moment, a lot here is German. This has to be fixed in the future, but it's functional. And you see here for Adani, the 7 readings of the Quran, which are still relevant, this classification today. And you see that Nafi and Abu Amr, Warsh, Nafi and Abu Amr, they have li yahaba, whereas the others have li ahaba. So to conclude, we have also, this is a new feature. It compares data from if you want to see how much data is there. For instance, here you see how many variant readings we have for the second verse of Surah Fatiha, references, works. This is a kind of overview page which was created last year in a kind of internship cooperation with the University of Mainz. It's an overview model. a thing that might be relevant or interesting for you is the concordance. There is a text concordance which was produced by Raphael Talmon, which is functioning on the new publication, on the new URL. Let us see what we get here. Yes, here we have it. And here you find you can click on words and you get the, so to say, the morphological analysis of Rafi Talmon. Rafi Talmon is a scholar who passed away 20 years ago, and he was the first one to develop a digital morphological concordance, but it was not accessible for the last 20 years. I found it helpful, and we somehow integrated it into the data. So here I will stop. Thanks for your patience. I'm looking forward to eventual questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mikhail. It's very interesting, and like I can see like how much can we benefit from your new digital publications. Let's stick to the term, not the website. And I think like there are some fields about material history and also about the variant readings, of course, and also about the Prophet and like how the Quran is developed by Islamic countries like across the Islamic world, and also many directions we can go delve into thanks to your digital publication. But like we will have more in-depth exploration about the fields that we can get more deeper into from Mas Mu'ammar Qadafy.
Yes.
So Mas Mu'ammar, like a brief explanation, he doesn't need introduction, but still for those because like you probably like you also know him. Mas Mu'ammar is the lecturer in State Islamic University, UIN Yogyakarta, Sunan Kalijaga. He is now a bit senior lecturer, and he graduated from Freiburg University.
From?
Freiburg.
Freiburg, oh yeah.
Freiburg University.
Yes.
And he has like a deep interest into like the classical studies of the Quran. So please, Mas Muhammad, also 20 minutes or more, like if you have technical issues.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I finished my PhD with Johanna Ping in Freiburg like 5 years ago.
Yes.
But my study was actually on tafsir studies, but Quranic studies in general, we also explore it. So thank you, Mas Duha. Thank you, Mikhail, for your presentation about the project. I believe that many of us, lecturer of Islamic studies and also student in Indonesia, we regularly access to the website. So some features that you have explained to us, I think they have been quite familiar with it. So yes. So after my presentation, following yours, I think we can do the Q&A with the audience, Mas Duhaya. Okay, so can you see my slide, Duha?
Yes, but not full screen.
Okay, so I'm afraid if I change it into the full one, something will change. And what do you think?
Now, yeah, better.
Okay, but this is not bad, right? I mean, can I go with this version, please?
Yeah.
So, so everything Mikhail has told us, just wonderful. First of all, I personally would like to congratulate for the establishment of the Corpus Coranicum as an Ain with this new direction that you just explained. Congratulations on this exciting new chapter. But like many users around the world, you just mentioned like 2,000 to 3,000 visitor to your website, showing how important Corpus Coranicus is. We've been following rumors, development with great interest. We heard the transition from Berlin to Münster, for instance. I heard this news, first of all, from Professor Simonesin from Münster. I myself have been wissenschaftliche Mitarbeiter in Münster for 2 years during my PhD. Yes, so this is very exciting to see to which direction the new Corpus Coranicum is directed. But
sorry, just a second. I mean, there is actually it is a split actually. It means the commentary is continued there, and I cannot tell you a lot what's going on there.
I see. Yes.
No,
Okay.
no. It is completely out of my hand, and I was against this moving out, but it's their decision. But as I told, there is by the nature of sources and material, there is a difference. You have in Münster now, or you have in the commentary section, an explanation of data, an interpretation, whereas the parts that I'm responsible of, they provide sources, and the focus is on sources. We don't want to explain the history of the Quran. This is a difference, also an intellectual difference. It's a practical difference. Sorry.
It clarifies everything, because for the first time, we are wondering what the new whether the project in Münster is the new thing or not. Will they create another digital publication and so on and so forth? And your presentation is just make everything clear, Mikhail. Thank you for that. But I think one thing hasn't changed, that we, as Indonesian, we will still use Corpus Coranicum as one of the most important and trusted academic resource for Quranic studies. So give me like 5 to 10 minutes to tell about how we benefited from the digital publication, to give you the idea how we as user usually access the website. I hope it can, make the image clearer for you. Okay, so I think before I share my personal experience, I'd like to take a step back and ask a very simple question: why this website is important? Digital publication, sorry, Corpus Coranicum is so important. I believe the answer lies in the changing landscape of Quranic studies over the last 20 years, with the emergence of two major research fields. First, the history of the Quranic text. I think Michael told before, he is more into this kind of study in compared to Angelika Nowivit and Nikolai Sinai. So it basically asks about how do early manuscripts help us understand the history of the text. What can the tradition of Qiraat tell us about the textual transmission? How did the written text develop during the early centuries of Islam? And the other stream was about the Quran in the context of late antiquity, which is still a debatable term, probably. So what I find remarkable is that Corpus Coranicum addressed both of these fields within a single digital platform. So it helped us as academic and lecturer to access this two phases of history of the Quran at the same time. But in Indonesia, Michael, I have to tell you that we have traditionally been very strong in Islamic thought and also in the tafsir studies, let's say. But the history of the Quranic text and the study of the Quran within the context of late antiquity are still new for us, although some increasing interest we can see among students and newcomers. So, but still, I see more masters and doctoral students wanting to explore this very two area. They ask where they can find reliable manuscript images, for instance, where they can consult Qiraat sources, or where they can access texts that are relevant to the Quran's historical context. And my answer is just the same. Start with Corpus Coranicum. I think this is a very good starting point to delve into the research further. So you might ask, what are the recent development in Indonesia? So I would say that we try to grasp into these two areas. On the left, Michael, you can see one example. Earlier this year, together with college, we invited Holger Zalantin from Tübingen. We had intensive discussion on reading the Quran through the lens of late antiquity material. And on the other hand, on the right side, we just recently organized a public discussion. This is in Bahasa, but it's actually on a Judeo-Arabic philology and Quranic intertextuality. Again, the level of interest, I think, is increasing by now. So the interest is already here. The challenge is now how to sustain it and how to provide them with access to reliable academic resources. And I think Corpus Coranicum is where to start a serious research on it. So organizations such as AIAT se-Indonesia, like Duha and I, we are on the same board. And also our university, in Sunan Kalijaga, Angelica Nuwibit has visited us like 10 years ago. And hopefully Michael in the near future will also come to our university to give lecture, to do some, hopefully. And also, I have my own movement called studytafsir.com. We are also interested in doing collaboration on this. So we are fully aware that these are still emerging field in Indonesia, but this is precisely why Corpus Coranicum is so important. This is just my little more experience with, I think you are familiar with Prof. Sahiron? Pak Sahiron? Yeah, since my undergraduate studies, he was the one to introduce Corpus Coranicum to us. So he started showing the website and accessing some material and so on and so forth. So I think we are already connected with Corpus Coranicum. In my opinion, this is a great digital resources, but it don't appear overnight. So you told us the history behind the project from 2007 up to now. So it took years and years of decades of dedication. We're truly thankful for that. So this is my last PowerPoint, I think. So Mikhail, I want to give you a concrete example of how Corpus Coranicum has influenced my academic work. And it probably reflects how you say ordinary academic like us assess the website. First, in research, it has become, in my opinion, personally, one of the resources I regularly consult when working on topics related to Quranic semantic, the Quran and its emerging context. Recently, I did an article with Pak Sahiron as well. It's still under review in Brill Journal about the Quranic Insan and Bashar, and we benefit from Corpus Coranicum. Second, in teaching. So I don't want Corpus Coranicum to remain a source known only to specialists. So whenever I teach courses on Quranic studies, tafsir, I introduce students to use this platform. So the feature that you have described, like first navigator, and then we click it, we see the different qiraat, find what different from one qari to another. That's actually we usually do it in class. And the third one is thesis supervision. It's not many, but still we have some students who are interested in doing research on material of history of the Quran and so on and so forth. So, but Michael, but I have to make an honest observation. I mean, although many Indonesian scholars recognize the value of Corpus Coranicum, but I think we have only, like what you call scratch the surface. So very often we use it as a database to look up a manuscript, to check a variant reading, or maybe to find a reference. But I think that's only the beginning. So when you say that you want to create more like a research ecosystem, I think this is a very good plan that we have to support. So my conclusion will be, for many years, we benefited from Corpus Coranicum. We have assessed its database, we cited its resources, we introduced in our classroom, We encourage our students to use it, but perhaps the next stage is not simply about access, it's about partnership. So on behalf of AIAT se-Indonesia, in which Duha is also a member of it, I believe we are ready to contribute to that next chapter. So AIAT se-Indonesia, I think Duha also can facilitate academic collaboration. We can do conferences, workshops, scholarly actions, collaborative research, and so on and so forth. I believe this would not simply academic opportunity, it will also represent a meaningful step toward a stronger partnership, short note partnership in Quranic studies. So this is all my reception to the Corpus Coranicum. Again, congratulations for the new chapter. And yeah, we're looking forward to do something more with Corpus Coranicum. Thank you, Mas Duha.
Thank you very much, Ms. Muhammad. Um, so there are several things. Yeah. So thank you very much, Ms. Muhammad. He is the founder of StudiTafsir.com.
Yes.
By which also with which AIAT is organizing this together also with Al-Qur'an. So AIAT, the Association of Quranic Studies Scholars in Indonesia, it is for relatively older generation, like the lecturers across Indonesia, but for the let's say student communities and younger generations also outside of academia, it is Studi Tafsir and Al-Quran stuff, and also we have other communities, but they are, I think, I don't know, I'm the closest to them, but we also have other communities. And talking about the philological studies that are developing in Indonesia, I don't know, Mas Muhammad probably can say more about that. The philological studies of Indonesia is going to of the Quran in Indonesia is going to two directions. Like one is the philological study of Indonesian Qurans, and Pak Ali Akbar, Asbel Teh, kalau they are the leading scholars in this field, in this subfield of philology of the Quran, and also it is going to the direction of the history of the Quranic text, in the sense that you are doing, Abdullah Al-Khatib also doing, but still for the first subfield, we are much more ready because we are ourselves Indonesians, and the materials are there. They are also in Leiden in Germany, but also we have more materials in our hand at our table. But for the second subfield, we are a bit further than the first subfield because it is quite beyond our reach. And I think one of the greatest contribution of your digital publication is to get us closer to the materials, so we can more easily contribute to the field. Now we are not only consuming the studies in that subfield, but we can also contribute. We are getting closer to that level of contribution, of contributing to the subfield. And the term late antiquity, as Mas Muhammad said, is a bit problematic. When I remember in our discussion in a class, Pak Sahiron, as Mas Muhammad mentioned, introduced the Corpus Coranicum to us, and also the study in the history of the Quranic text to us, the younger generation. And we once had the discussion, a small one, about the term late antiquity and how it is different, what we imagine as antiquity and what the authors of the scholarship that we are reading are imagining about late antiquity. So we have different paradigms about antiquity and late antiquity more specifically. So it is we need more adjustment when we want to get into this field. So, and also this comprehension of material history is one of the things that your digital publication is helping us with. And we will have, I heard, we will have like we already have like the Turkey label, French label, and I heard that we will have a Bahasa label very soon. The Bahasa Indonesian label, like in the website, it will be good. And like a spoiler, it is under progress, the Bahasa label, isn't it right? So we will have the Indonesian fellas. We will have Bahasa label in the Corpus Coranicum, and we will also have like more entries. I heard of Indonesian tradition, Quranic tradition.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not very many, but there is one manuscript that Ali Akbar and me are working on that will be fairly soon, I think.
Yeah. So the digital publication is not only taking us closer to the subfield, but also like bringing us more into the life, so to speak. So now we will have a Q&A session, basically about everything. Everything about the site, everything about the digital publications.
I have a small, if I may,
yeah, before that we can,
Yes, I have a small reply to Mu'ammar, very brief. Yes, thank you very much. I mean, you are right. I think the publication, the catalogs, the data, has had an important impact, because it makes access possible. People, I see this in Iran, in Turkey especially, where not a lot, I mean up to 10 maybe or 12, but it's so much more than 20 years ago of students who work on Quranic manuscripts. So on the backside, many scholars who use the publication are not able to quote us. But this is the natural risk with a digital publication. People, young or old, it doesn't matter, they don't take it serious. It is serious when there is a technical problem and the website does not function. Then I get emails from scholars who apparently use us all the time, but sad story, they are not able to quote us. I will not give the names, but the list is long. Okay, second point. For the variant readings, actually, allow me please briefly to share my screen, very briefly. I don't want to take your time so much. Look, if we have here the variant readings, look here. Here you see a lot of other names. Azajaj was prepared by Edin Mahmutovic. Karamzadeh prepared Ibn Khalawai. That means this potentially, if there are students working in the field of qira'at and they want to work on one source, make it accessible in the catalog, learning the transcription, we can do that. That means this is a very, it can be a small source. Let's say somebody takes Ibn Qutayba Ta'wil Mushkil al-Quran. There are about 30, 40, 50 variant readings included. Could be a nice MA or BA project. I'm teaching at the moment in the University of Frankfurt. I will be happy to co-supervise such a work. And it will be visible, it will be helpful for others. Right, but we can talk about it later. Again, my time is running. Warning ahead, the section about word of the text of the Quran, it has not been really updated since 2020. In the last 4 years, I had to use the funding for that part and spend it for the digital issues, because in our time it is so problematic. There are so many digital publications that did not survive. For instance, there's a very good catalog about variant readings prepared by Shadi Hikmat Nasser in Harvard. And apparently it's not available, it's not anymore accessible. Maybe it will be, maybe yes. So I think sustainability is something which requires a lot. So Last point, late antiquity, you are right, and also Duha. Late antiquity is a very difficult term, and the more I think about it, I think it's very problematic because in the end, it refers to two anchors in time or two places, Rome and Athens. Yeah, Rome, this is the antiquity and Athens. Then we have the Renaissance, and in between are the Middle Ages. And the term late antiquity received an attention only in the last 30 years by Peter Brown, who tried to find more positive words for the 5th, 6th, and 7th century. But the perspective is really Eurocentric. I'm not against Eurocentrism. The whole Corpus Coranicum is, if you want to say so, with a Latin name, Eurocentric. But we have to be clear with it. Yeah. And when we are dealing with Western Arabia, what I mean, all these inscription, all this massive load of new data, yeah, we are outside of the Roman Empire, and it remains under question if a reference system to Rome and Athens is really helpful. But we can talk. I'm happy to give lecture. I have published something in Persian together with my two colleagues Ali Arae and Ali Khavanin Zadeh, but it's in Persian. So because when we were presenting, when we had our cooperation with Iranian universities and we were using the term late antiquity in Iran, people just did not understand. For them, antiquity is Persepolis. For them, late antiquity is something like the Sasanians. And you have to be crazy to refer the Quran to Persepolis and to the Sasanians. There might be some elements or words, but it makes no sense for them at all. Yeah? And I guess for the Indonesians, your antiquity, Middle Ages is something completely else. You divide time in a very different way. So you have you have another timeline in your own country, and perhaps this timeline with late antiquity, Rome and Athens, is not the best one to understand the Quran. Last point and last sentence. I'm very happy about cooperation, and cooperation could also include the technical issues. I think what we have done with the data is only the beginning. The given website, the org website, is still very weak in data presentation. There can be done a lot more. And yeah, let's look. And thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Mas Mu'ammar, like one word or two before we go to Q&A?
Yeah. A very short comment. I'm just thinking about the sustainability of such digital publication, and I'm just thinking about how people outside your circle, Michael, can contribute to the website. Like apparently to provide database, we are not in that area, but I think
No, but this is easy. Most of the data, for instance, the example I have shown about the
yeah.
student in Frankfurt, he did it on remote. Yeah, the data can be submitted by we have an how to say, a content management system. Some people provide it by Excel files. This is a technical problem. It does not require physical presence.
Yeah, I mean, there is something more popular, like popular academic. Maybe you can create what we call it, a room for a summary for thesis or PhD thesis that deal with materials provided in Corpus Coranicum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking, Michelle and
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. For me, it's difficult to understand. I'm following you and also what Duha says. If you have any suggestions, I'm principally ready to do this with you. Yeah.
Yeah. looking forward to having the cooperation, like to see also to seeing the cooperation between Corpus Coranicum and AIAT Indonesia, the Quranic Studies Association in Indonesia. So now we are having Q&A session. You can, I'm sorry, like the main conversation, mainly the conversation is in English, but you can ask in Bahasa and we'll translate. And also, like if you want to have, I don't know if we need to translate everything now. I don't think like we are translating everything now, but like if anyone wants to ask in Bahasa, please, like in whatever language that we speak. I think you can also handle like questions in Germany, right?
Yes.
In German, yeah. Yeah.
In the chat.
Yeah, they're just yeah. So anyone, I'm still wondering whether No Deke is following us and have some questions.
I noticed that too.
Okay, so I will use my privilege to ask my own question.
Yes.
Because this is one of the direction that I wanted to delve into before my doctorate. It is about it is part of the history of Quranic text, if we can use the term. I was familiar with the works of Marian van Putten.
Yes.
And also, what was the name? Hytham?
Yes.
Because during COVID, I think like the IFPRA was active, and they invited, I think, Marian and Hytham in one of the conversations, and also like Johanna.
Yes.
I think like she organized a Freiburg conversation or something, also with ICSA. And like by then I was quite familiar, and I was like dragged into the field of history of the Quran. And how is it really? And then like I joined your workshop like in 2023, I think. And then I met Alba Fedeli,
Yes.
Abdullah Al-Khatib, and many other scholars. How can I find, however, the two streams as a bit different? Like Marine, Hytham, Abdullah, and Alba. Abdullah and Alba, they work in the very same field, I guess. Hytham is developing something out of the material history, and then Marine, he is more into the linguistic studies of the Quran, I think. If you can say something, I have a word about
I think here it's something very general. I think it's very important that the number of people, like you have enumerated them, is growing. That will provide ideas, their reading, their interpretation about material history. This was not possible 20 years ago. And I'm very happy to see this all. And there are brilliant ideas, and other ideas have to be discussed. But it's very important that the circle of people is growing. Yeah? And material history is not anymore limited to those who have the money to travel. Yeah? Of course, as editor of this catalog, I would be more happy to see the database quoted in publications of the people you have mentioned, but nobody is perfect. Let's look ahead. Now, what is important here that young people in countries which were not in the game 10 years ago, like in Turkey, in Iran, in Qatar, yeah, probably in Indonesia, also this will come. And this is important. And I think this will change the discussion. Perhaps from an Indonesian perspective, many issues of the textual history are really far. And maybe they are not really understandable for whatever reasons. And this is important to have this kind of feedback, even if it's a feedback like, I do not understand. How does this work? Yeah. And you will discover that what you ask is not will in many cases not be a trivial question, but it's important to open this field. And this I see very much as my task here. Yeah. I have also my research questions. I have developed some ideas about the stemma, about the relationship between oral and written transmission, but this is a different level. What is at stake here today is that we should make material accessible.
So I think like there we have like a question in the chat room, but before that, a follow-up question on that is if Marijn is developing the linguistic history based on the material that you provided, and also like what he has on his hands and table, is there any subfield that is closer to us, like to can contribute? I think the kinds of study that Mas Mu'ammar showed in his slide is actually like the like we are using your material to talk about something else, not about the material itself.
Yeah.
Like it is different from what Alba and Abdullah Al-Khatib and you yourself are doing. Like you're talking about the material itself, and then like you talk about the transmission of the Quran and
Yes.
and it is a bit far from us. And how can through your site, your digital publications, like how far are we Indonesians from that your field, from that field that Marijn is doing?
The more linguistic approach.
Yeah. So with the material in your site, like can we use them to participate in the discussion?
I think so, yes. Yeah. And you know, you have to say in Islamic studies, it may be Islamic studies of the traditional type, it may be Islamic studies of the Eastern type, of the Western type. 20 years ago, nobody was looking into material evidence. Yeah? When I was trained, this did not exist. We never would look into manuscripts. The Quran was the Quran. You took the Saudi edition, and this is the Quran. Yeah, there is no second one. This has completely changed, and this whole approach towards the sources is new. Perhaps some people in Europe have a bit an advantage here in time, but it's not so important. It is, I mean, I think as a beginning, if there are people, I mean, you can take care of an edition. We have developed this system how to edit the content of a manuscript. This is a very basic work, and many people think it's too basic, but once you start it, you will understand much. You get a feeling for the material, and there you are. You are in the discussion. Yeah? I can only encourage you to not to be afraid of the big names, of the big works. This all has started only recently, like 5 minutes ago. Yeah, what are 10 years or 12 in time? It's nothing. Yeah? So don't be afraid and start working on the material. Use it for works at BA, MA level also. It can be very short, but include material evidence, and it will change a lot your perspective.
So stop thinking that you were an outsider. Start thinking that you are now an insider.
I think so, yes. Or talk. You should have a session with Ali Akbar. Then he will cure you to say that also Indonesia has itself material evidence of the text. I mean, Ali Akbar's publication Mushaf Nusantara is a very good contribution to the field. 2 months ago in Pakistan, a colleague who came also to Berlin and Frankfurt last year, he has opened a kind of Corpus Coranicum for just for Pakistan, a country where nobody has an idea about the collections. So I think there are plenty of ways to contribute. And one also has to say, don't believe that everything that is written in English and published by Brill is the truth, is a kind of Quran even. No, I mean, why take your own distance and ask questions? I'm very unhappy today to see all these tons of publications, and there is a lot of publication where I'm not able to understand what they want to say. Yeah? You have also to see that a lot of these publications are perhaps less written to an academic public, but maybe they are written to a commission because a young researcher wants to get a promotion at his university. He has to show a first or a second book. So take a distance also. Don't take the Western professors as something like the Pope of or bishops of Islamic studies, if I use this may use this bad metaphor.
So we don't
Not
take,
funny, should not laugh. Not funny, serious.
I always smile. So we don't take anything for granted. We take a distance and ask questions. That reminds me of what Pak Jalil, almarhum Pak Jalil, like a colleague of ours, said that now, like through your site and also like through other, really your site and other digital publications, I would say, like now we can do the study, we can join the conversation without going nowhere from our place. Like we from everywhere we can do that. And like one of the things that we can do from now is preparing our young generations in pesantren and also in Ma'had Ali, which is like the higher traditional institution in Indonesia. Like we do not only teach the books without providing materials, but we can now like show the students the materials. So the younger generation will be more ready to join to the conversation in the next like 5 years or so.
Right.
So now, like we go to the chat room, we have a question and one statement from that. The first question is about the reception that you got from your encounters with scholars in Middle East, Cairo, Iraq. But as a feminist, I need to address the term Middle East, like Middle East to whom? Like we can use like the country, like we have the names of the country, like what is Middle East, like Middle East to west, to the west. But anyway, like the reception of your work in those countries.
Okay.
Cairo, Iran.
Should I read them?
Yeah, I think like we just answer the first question.
Okay, I'm curious about the dialogue or the discussion that you had while developing this work to several academias and institutions in the Middle East, Cairo, Iran, etc. What were their suggestions, criticisms, and compliments regarding this work? Yes, good question. Yeah, I mean, when I look back into the project in 2008, we launched the first prototype with digital prototypes, and I have mentioned this split, perhaps, or the different type of the modules. The commentary is a very different thing when you compare it to the collection of data of variant readings, manuscripts, and so on. Yeah. So for these things, for the source material, I took the decision already in 2008 to be very transparent with this. And there were, of course, many mistakes in the digital publication. There are still many, many mistakes. This is the nature of the game. But all over almost 20 years, I cannot say that there was any hostile reaction in the Muslim world. Of course, you had in Iran, in Turkey, everywhere, also in Germany, there is a lot of people who think, yeah, there should be a hidden agenda. Probably there is an anti-Islamic agenda in Corpus Coranicum or in the databases here and there and there. Possible, I don't know. But what people saw published, the reaction was usually very good. They would say, yes, probably they have a hidden agenda. They are doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Okay, but this is okay. This is I can live with this kind of reaction.
Okay.
Mhm.
So thank you, Katra. I hope it does answer the question. So we go to the second one. It is from Ari. It is not really a question, I think. Like it is
It's a commentary, yes.
Yeah, an appreciation of your work.
Yes, I work on the chronological order of Quran analysis. I have read some arguments from Norbert Sina, Enora, Schmidt, yes, and I'm very thankful to Corpus Coranicum because I can access their arguments. Yes, but as I said, yeah, you find the commentary from Nikolai Sinai concerning the early Meccan surahs, and then for the middle Meccan and late Meccan by Dirk Hartwig and Angelika Neuwirth. I think you will find from Nora Schmidt a lot more outside of outside of the catalog, and I think there are meanwhile also other publications concerning chronological order, and so I would encourage you not only look into our side because the commentary part is a frozen one. Even in the org side, we will not work on the commentary at this stage. So it's important to look out what is going there. And one also, in general, this is true. The data provided by the databases for manuscripts and variant readings and the digital edition of the Cairo edition, this is a very specific field, and it might not be something really important for all the fields in this huge domain of Islamic studies. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This represents like the appreciation from the academia because like I believe like his Ari is a student of Islam Quranic studies in
Yes.
one of the universities in Indonesia. But I forgot, but now I remember to mention that the interest, I think that is the good word for that, the interest for the Quranic material history is now going beyond academia because now Indonesian Muslims, they have now more privilege to do pilgrimage, umrah, like the minor
Yes.
pilgrimage, plus. So it is like umrah plus, and they go to Turkey, they go to Palestine, they go to Aqsa here, and also they go to several places that have like Quranic manuscript. And one of the destinations that the guide uh, take them is museum that have the Quranic materiality. And I once like my friend was here once, and she went to Islamic museum next to it's like madhab,
Yes.
next to Masjid al-Qibli,
Yes.
and she saw the material history. And then she said to me that she got information about that before she went here, before she arrived here,
Right.
through a sermon, like a public sermon. So we have like public lecture in mosque in Indonesia, and now, surprisingly for me, like it is surprising that one of the topics that the I don't know how the missionary probably like the ustad are informing the lay people outside of academia is the material history of the Quran. That it is now like a growing interest beyond academia, and when they can afford like doing minor pilgrimage, like they will go to Turkey or here like to see the material Quran.
Yes.
So it is also like interesting to mention that the interest is growing also outside of academia. What do you think as well?
This is the nature. This is the nature of material evidence. It can have receptions that are totally different from what we expect. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say a word for Michelle, Ms. Duha?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I have to leave earlier because it's already start time here, and I have something to do, other thing. First of all, I think you mentioned previously a collaboration with Pak Ali Akbar, right, Michelle?
Yes.
Yes, Pak Ali Akbar was very well-known philologist in Indonesia. And I think I have to mention some member of AIAT, our association, who has also deal with this issue, probably Pak Yafi and so on and so forth, more into Quranic studies rather than philological things. But we will certainly update him about your project and how important is it to be collaborated into the research as well. The other thing, I think I'm very glad to be here with you, Michael and Mas Duha. Again, I can see that there are many possibilities to develop together. I myself probably more focus on commentary tradition, tafsir tradition, but at some level, it also touched the heart of what you are doing now. So I'm really glad to be here with you. I hope the success for your project in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
have to
for
leave
having me
for
here.
now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mas Muhammad,
Thank you
for
very
that.
much.
Yeah.
And
So,
let's say until soon.
Yeah.
Allah.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
And we have like another question. We still have time, like till like
Yes.
30, and we have one question now. Two questions. I will read out. How do you respond to the views held by some Muslims in the Islamic world, such as in Indonesia, who question the source material in the Corpus Coranicum? How can we demonstrate that the material provided in the Corpus Coranicum is truly reliable? To this day, there is suspicion among Muslims about the Quran project in the West. I think we can combine like the three.
Okay, yes. I switched to the side to show you around. I start with a question about the basmala, which is I mean, when you want to explore the history of the basmala, I think it's good to see, for instance, for the first verse of Surah 1. It will now take a moment. Let me see what we have here. I mean, the basmala of Surah 1 is a particular case because it is considered a part of the Quran in the Hafs and Asim tradition. It is considered not a part of the Quran, but just the basmala like the others, for instance, in the Western tradition. This is nowhere spelled out here, but you can see it, for instance, here you can see it. You have here a Maghrebi Quran in the University Library of Doha, the National Library of Doha. And you see the basmala is here like an ornament, like for the second surah. Yeah? So this is very much the approach that you find in the Nafia tradition, whereas in the Cairo Quran and perhaps also in this one of Ibn Bawab, you see the basmala is part of the text. Yeah. So when we go to when you see here in the Cairo text today, in the Cairo print, in the Saudi Arabian print, in the Bahasa print, in the Indonesian print, you find the basmala numbered as a verse of the Quran, which is reflected in the material evidence also elsewhere. Yeah? Of course, then we have the example of Surah Tauba, yeah, without a basmala. And the manuscripts, we have 86 manuscripts, and you would never see a basmala there, bara'a, here also. So we don't see something really else. We don't find among the manuscripts accessible, at least maybe you check it again, but I have not seen here any basmala for the first verse. Yeah? The basmala topic is a complex topic. You see also that in this, perhaps you know better than I do, but when you look into the juridical traditions, the Hanafis, the Shafi'is, the Malikis have a different attitude about the basmala of Surah 1. It can be loud, it is part of the text, not part of the text. And what is interesting, so you have a specific treatment of the basmala of Fatiha in the written transmission and also in the just a second. If the person with the basmala question has a bit patience, I can show you something. This is a lecture I gave about the basmala. Slideshow, no. To count or not to count, to recite or not to recite, early written transmission and recitation of the basmala. We have texts of the basmala, or very similar texts, also from the time before the Quran. They are not the same texts like the basmala, but we find, for instance, in an inscription by Abraha, the king mentioned in Tafsir of Surah Al-Fil and Surah Quraysh, Surah Al-Fil, for instance, you will find a formula, an invocation formula, Birhail, Warida, Rahmat, Rahmanan, wa Masihuhu, wa Ruh Quds. Yeah? So you find here also an invocation with 3 parts. You can find this in the catalog of the texts from the word of the Quran. And that was the second question asked by a person in the chat. Looking into the manuscript and the basmala, what we see is we find the basmala numbered in early manuscripts of the text, but also there are a lot of, let me see, sometimes it is numbered as a regular verse, but also sometimes we have it. Anyhow, I want to close with something relevant for the basmala, but also relevant for the context. Yeah, here is the first dated basmala. How to say? It's the first attestation of the basmala in a papyri 558 ERF, Papyrus P ERF, a collection in Vienna, the Erzherzog Rainer Foundation. And here we see that the basmala is quoted in a legal document, a kind of how to say that, a receipt for the delivery of 70 sheep. It is a document from Egypt, written in Greek and in Arabic, and this is the first attested reading of the basmala, dated to the Shahr Jumada al-Ula min Sanat 22. That means we are here in the year of 22. And also basmalas occur on coins in the early Islamic period. This is an Islamic coin, but it follows the model of the Sasanian coins. It is dated around 650, 660 in the early Umayyad period, maybe. And here the basmala is entered to say something like legal tender, to say this coin is valid. So I don't know, I close this. Yeah, that was the intertextuality. Yes, the intertextuality is a module, is a part of the project. Again, I go to show it to you. That's okay. No, not this one. The screen, maybe.
You go to the website?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So we have this module. Here we don't have for Surah Tauba. We don't have an intertext. I don't know. Let's see what we have. It's clearly labeled. Yeah. So here we have here is this is, you have to use ChatGTP or DeepL to translate it. A lot of material here is unfortunately in English, in German. It needs to be translated, and it's always marked. Yeah? We have about 800 of these intertexts, you may label them, or texts from the world of the Quran. But as I mentioned, this part of the project we have not updated since 2020 because we had very limited possibilities. I found it much more important to invest so that the digital publication stays alive. So this functions, you hit a verse, yeah, here we have like this, and then it shows you lists for intertexts reference for this verse, and here actually you get 4 of them. That means it's not the idea here to show a copy paste. Yeah, the Quran is copy pasted text. No, it's the idea of echoes of the text. That a certain entry. Let's look here. Akhira. Yes. So the term al-akhira mentioned in this verse. Yeah. Here we have a text from the from the Babylonian Talmud, which has a term, ha'olam haba, the coming world. Yeah. So we don't want to say this is copied from the Talmud, but it's a common religious language. And when the message of the Quran was proclaimed, of course, one had to use the words that were understood by the people. Yeah? So here, this is a reference to the Talmud. You find the text, you find the translation, for the moment only in German. And then you have here the verse which is meant, which is commented, al-akhirah. And these are suggestions. This is not, it does not say here, this is a verse which is copied in the Quran. This is a verse which is 100% of the context. No, it's a suggestion. Many of these texts that are referred here are mentioned in research literature, and we just make them accessible. We don't judge upon it. We are not in the commentary section. In the commentary section, Dirk Hartwig, Angelika Neuwirth, they use a certain verse and make it relevant. They decide that this is a verse of the Quran. Again, if you are working on a third verse of Ibrahim Surah, you may find this helpful, but you also may find the opposite. This is just, we want to bring the material on the table.
We're a bit out of the time, but let's not leave any question unanswered. So one question So probably I can give a short answer. How reliable are your materials? How reliable are the materials that you have on your site?
I mean, it's always marked, yeah. The material is presented with reference to a person. It's not AI generated. That is also why it's important to quote it, because I think there are errors. Of course, look, we have 55,000 manuscripts now online. Every second week, somebody tells me, yeah, this week, this image, it is not only the 10th verse of Surah 6, but actually it's the 12th. Okay, and we fix it. Yeah? Go and see. A lot of material is reliable. I think it's a good starting point, but I don't know. We are talking about a digital tool which publishes fast, and don't know, ask other people.
Yeah. And I don't actually like what does he or she mean by reliability, and if she means the reliability in the sense of like in the religious sense, like how reliable is it to the Quran? Like I think it's beyond.
Yeah, okay. In the religious sense, now you have to see that the databases are not, we are not a religious institution. We were in the Academy of Science for 18 years a research department, but academies in Germany are not religious institutions. At the moment, I'm also not a religious, I'm not acting based on a religious framework. I'm acting as an historian. I have an historical perspective on the text of the Quran, which in many cases might be conflicting with the convictions you have. Yeah? But when it comes to material evidence, I think we are all a bit equal because we have material on the table regardless, independently from of our religious, philosophical convictions.
So, like if the question is about the reliability in academic sense, it is reliable. But if it is about the religious sense, so we can talk, we can discuss, like we can get together at the table and we can discuss about that.
Of course, I mean it's an academic contribution. So it's like a book that you quote. Is it reliable or not? I don't know. It is your responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the last one, Ebran Stark. Indonesia has a lot of good human resources, though, just in case you need some. You can remove the smiley. I think this is precisely the message here. There are ways to work on, to find common interest. I'm sure my perspective on many things here is very different from the perspective you have. But nevertheless, when it is possible to find common interest in some fields, and then it makes sense to cooperate for both sides.
Yeah. We can ignore the last one because it's like out of topic. We can ignore it. It's about like the government of Indonesia. We can talk about that later after the talk. So I consider the last sentence you got as an invitation to Indonesian scholars to contribute to the discussion, to join the game, and we are so happy that now with your new site and that we have like new features and we are expecting like Indonesian labels, LP Indonesian entries in the site. So we are so happy. We look forward to having you in Indonesia in person and also like to other kinds of cooperation because like after COVID, like everything can be done online from afar without thank you very much. Any last word?
Yes, thank you for your patience listening to me. Yes, I think we are in the beginning, and it's one also should not be sad if we don't find fields of cooperation. I mean, this is also, I had often talks in Arab countries, for instance, where it did not match, where the interests were quite apart. In the case with Ali Akbar, we find a common interest. We did some carbon dating together. We worked on the manuscripts. So it depends on the case, and it should be something where both sides look clearly. And if it doesn't work, it's also nice. I don't hope so, and probably there will be a continuation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mikhail. So for the I see many ustads here that I know, like that teach in the Islamic institutions, traditional ones in Indonesia, and I think like we can use your site to introduce our Quran better to our students because like we have the introduction to the Quran, but we always imagine like how the Quran would look like in the 7th century. But now, like thanks to your site, we can see with our eyes.
Yeah.
Also online, but that is like the best we can have like as for now. And like in the future, I don't know, like we can be more integrated and we can use
Definitely.
consult the materials. But now, like your site is one of the most important ones, like that can help.
Great honor. Thank you very much.
And you will get reward from Allah for facilitating us with that. And you will also get the reward from Allah for like sharing everything today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is a great honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And thank you also for AIAT, Association of Quranic Scholars in Indonesia, and also Elburn's talk and study tafsir that also co-organized this event. And I want to say something that we expect Bahasa, so don't lose hope for that. So we are expecting Bahasa in Corpus Coranicum, the appearance in Bahasa. So thank you very much for everyone for staying like more than an hour and a half, and see you again in more events from AIAT. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Bye.